So next game, speaking of the Falcons, the Saints at the Falcons. This line opened up Saints -3. It's still 3. So who do you like here?
Yeah, so I'm on the Saints for now, but that has the big asterisk next to it. If Julio Jones doesn't play, I'm going to be on the Saints. If he does play, I may switch sides on this one. I'm interested to see how Taysom Hill does in this one because, I mean, last week they played the Broncos. They didn't have to do anything. The Broncos were starting a fifth-string quarterback who was really a receiver at the position. So Taysom just had to hand the ball off a lot and run in the red zone and throw for 78 yards. But he's looked pretty good so far, I've thought, or at least last time he played the Falcons, he looked good. So I want to see if he can repeat that performance. I think the Saints will be motivated to win in a rivalry game because if they win this one, they go up 3 games and a tiebreaker on the Bucs. So they'll basically wrap up the division. You know, a lot of people probably feel like they already have wrapped it up, but, you know, that would just give them that extra, like, hey, we're in really good shape now. We don't have to worry about that. We can focus on the 1 seed. So they'll be motivated. But I think the Falcons are going to be motivated too. They're going to want revenge. I'm not convinced that the Saints are not going to be ready for this game, though. Like, you know, if they had a tough opponent last week or a tough opponent coming up, I could see them overlooking the Falcons and just saying, like, all right, we just got to focus on these tougher games down the stretch. But they literally just played like a JV game against the Broncos. And now they get to take on a rival, potential to sweep them, and potential to basically wrap up the division. So I think all those factors make me want to go with the Saints if Julio Jones is out. If Julio Jones is in, I think that the Falcons will be motivated to do better, and they'll have a chance to, score a bunch on New Orleans and make this kind of a little bit of a shootout. So I'm on the Saints now, might switch to the Falcons depending on the injury report.
Yeah, I like Atlanta a lot more. It really depends on Julio Jones, of course. Like if Julio's out again, I'll probably switch back like I did last week and go against the Falcons. But with Julio Jones on the field this year, like for a full game, the Falcons are right now they're 3-2 straight up and 4-1 against the spread, or 4-2 against the spread, 3-3 straight up. If it wasn't for that crazy Cowboys comeback and Todd Gurley at the goal line, they'd be 5-1 straight up and against the spread with Julio Jones playing the full game. So I think with that in mind, as well as the fact that I actually disagree with you about saying the Saints are going to be focused. Like they could be, but they just beat this team in a blowout 2 weeks ago. It's like, how do you take the Falcons seriously? I know they just had an easy game. But it was across the country. Now they have to fly back and like to take on a team they just beat. Like, I just don't know where their motivation is. Like, I feel like Atlanta's going to be more motivated than anything. And the Saints are just way ahead in the division. Like, even if they lose this game, I don't think Tampa's catching them. They swept Tampa. So the Tampa would have to pass them. So I don't think that's going to happen. So I think there is a good chance the Saints might overlook the Falcons, but what really gets me here is that I think this line doesn't make sense to me. If you think about it, like Atlanta or New Orleans was -4.5 at home against Atlanta. And if you move that line, like 2 points to neutral, it used to be 3. Let's just call it 2 because there's no fans. Move it 2 to neutral and then 2 to Atlanta. You get New Orleans -0.5. And yet New Orleans is -3 here. So it's like this line really hasn't moved as much as it should have. Now, like Julio Jones I think is playing a factor in that. But if Julio Jones plays, like I really don't see this line moving off 3. Like maybe it will, but like maybe 2.5 at most. So either way, like this line just seems too high. And I think this is going to be a 3-point game either way. I think if Julio plays, if Julio's on the field, I think either team is going to win by 3. So with that in mind, I'm going to take the win or the push with Atlanta.
Yeah, you make a good case about the line there. So I might think about switching to the Falcons eventually. For me, it's just Julio makes such a big difference in that offense, but the motivation case you make is good too. Just like my head, I'm always like, I never think anything's locked up until it's like, all right, we're mathematically certain that we're going to be the number 1 seed or whatever. But I also operate differently than an entire team of football players. So you got me rethinking that one. So I'm a no bet on the Saints right now is what I'll call it. And revisit this one later in the week. See what I'm thinking then.
Yeah, for me, it's TBA. Like if Julio Jones comes back and this is still a 3, I think I'm going to be on Atlanta for a few units. But like I said, if Julio's out again, like how do the Falcons move the ball against a really good Saints defense? So we just saw it 2 weeks ago. They scored 9 points, and I think 3 were with Julio. So they're really 6. So anyway.